So yes, I'm here to present the social media strategy, the organizational social media strategy that we've implemented. I'd like to mention that all the photos on this presentation are all photos that were sourced from the web with the hashtag Montreal Moments. So it's in part of our campaign. And it was actually wonderful to see so many amazing photos of Montreal and what moments in Montreal represent to the tourists, to our locals, to our members, and even to our employees. So that was for me a great opportunity. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, in my bio it says 2009 because we did go all digital in 2009, and I always like to go back to 2009 when I tell this story because it was the first step in I almost tend to want to say a revolution in the organization, but I'll say evolution. But I'm hoping that next year I can come back and talk about the revolution. So this said, just a brief context, budgets are down. Hey, is that new? I'm sure that it's the same thing for you guys. More objectives, more markets to target. In 2009, the economy was really difficult in North America. So we had to do more, with a lot less budgets. So be a lot more markets, to talk to a lot more people, and try and tell the pertinent stories for them. So these people that you can see in this photo, you would see them all over Montreal, and they give you free hugs. That was our way of welcoming travelers to Montreal. Fragmentation and multiplication of the points of contact. It's really funny because Jess showed the two photos in his presentation. The first one being of John and one of my favorite TV shows, and how in Mad Men it was all about drinking alcohol, telling stories, and doing television, radio, and print advertising. And the other couple of slides later, he shows what now the media is all about, and how you're lost in an opportunity or in a sea of what are you going to do. So that web shift for us in 2009 also answered that objective because we looked at our consumers, and at that time 70% of them were on the web, searching, planning, and choosing their destination. So it was just logical for us to be there where they are and not try to do everything at the same time. Thirdly, personalization. We talked about niche marketing. I'll talk about niche marketing actually also. Montreal is beautiful, but the branded story of saying the North American destination in a European setting is a little dry and is not what you're looking for as a tourist. You want to be told the travel story in what kind of experience you're searching for. So that's briefly the context. So strategy 2009, 100% digital. 100% digital means that all of our media buys went on the web. I would say that about 80% of those budgets were going towards tactical strategies. So how would we convert the consumer that was already in the process of selecting a short getaway destination? And then the other 20% went towards awareness. Awareness being, we were one of the first North American DMO to launch a blog. We actually hired 5 bloggers to blog about Montreal, and it was our first, the first time we had to let go of the brand. We had to tell these 5 bloggers, it's not our Montreal at Tourism Montreal, it's your Montreal and how you'd like to tell that story. So for us, that was the first step into social media, and it was the first step into saying that it's not about how the DMO sees the brand anymore, it's much more about how the consumer and the person telling the story sees the brand. Secondly, in 2011, we launched a niche marketing strategy. That also started bringing a lot of changes within the organization, because instead of doing generic one message communication strategies, we identified 20 niches, looked into what are the most prominent markets to market those niches to, what's the product about, what are the opportunities, where could we fail by pushing the culinary niche, for example, the LGBT niche, the nightlife niche, or the festival niche. Where were the opportunities? What were the consumers looking for? And how could we properly launch this in-house? And that also meant, instead of working in silos like we do advertising, PR, leisure, and membership, we had to break down those silos and make sure that everybody was talking to each other. So we created what I would call super managers. Those super managers were allocated niches, 4 to 5 niches each, instead of being allocated geographic markets. So the idea being that as a super manager, I would be knowledgeable enough about the product. I would be able to host a PR fan tour. I would be able to talk to a tour operator. And I would also be I would be given the right tools to also implement a advertising strategy specifically for that niche. So that meant that instead of having those departments, we had to start opening up the departments, and we had to start communicating in-house a lot more than what we were doing. Whereas before, you had the advertising super manager who would tell us, brief the agency and execute the advertising strategy. At this point, the niche manager was involved also in briefing the agency, making sure that the strat was on target with his objectives at the beginning of the year, and then the advertising team would execute the strategy. So that, instead of being someone that was really good at making sure that once the journalist was in town, was having a proper visit of Montreal, that person also now had to become a communication specialist. So instead of having 6 people, 7 people in the advertising department being communication specialists, we ended up having 18 people being communication specialists. And at first, everybody's fighting for their own territory, but now, after, I would say, about a year and a half into the implementation of this, it's working quite well. And it's broken down the silos, and it's also allowed us to make sure that we're not doing this for Tourism Montreal, we're now doing this for the consumer, what the consumer is looking for, and what the product is all about at the end. And thirdly, and this is where I'll spend a little bit more time on, is in 2012, with Think Social Media, we elaborated a 3-year plan to go all social. So what did that mean? From an all digital in 2009 to niche marketing in 2011, being a lot more pertinent for the consumer, to going all social in I would say, and I'll scoop it right now, in 2014, going all social on the organization after a big change within the marketing department. It also meant a huge change for the whole organization. So from going from a destination marketing organization, we are now trying to implement a destination management approach to our business. So that also means kind of changing our mission statement and our vision eventually. So, and this change is slowly but surely being adopted, and it starts at the core with the marketing team, but it's also moving on to the sales department and to HR and to even people in the accounting department that are now part of what we are trying to achieve at Tourism Montreal. So 3-year goal, first goal, 2012, 20% of our budgets, marketing budgets, going social. Building the staff, making sure that they have the right tools to properly utilize social media. 2013, 60% of our budgets going social media. And so far, 2013, I would say we're close to 70% of our budgets that are on social media. And starting to work more with our members, our stakeholders, and giving them the right tools to also implement and help us build the brand awareness around Montreal. And thirdly, in 2014, going 100% digital and social media. Quite the challenge. Full implementation within the organization also. Threefold strategy. Train the internal staff and implement how we've trained them. Give them the right tools. Don't tell them how to do things. Help them to make their own decision. Empower them to make their own decision. Activate our members and tourists, our locals. And finally, niche marketing fueled by social media. At this point, we have launched 8 full 100% social media campaigns for 8 out of the 20 niches. So getting the organization ready, educate, at the end of last year, to really put the point across that Tourism Montreal really believed in that shift, we told all of our employees, we're going back to university for a day. So everyone, we shut down the office, we went back to university, and we gave a one-on-one course on social media. What's Twitter, what's Facebook, what's LinkedIn, what's a blog, what's a fan page, and so on. So it was really just because the skill set was not at par. It was really, our objective was really to tell everyone, okay, you might be better at social media than your colleague, but because you're in the same organization and in the same team, let's try and help each other and let's all go back to school. Once that was done, we started looking at the different departments within the organization and looking at, the sales department, for example, meetings, what's the social media that would help them do their job the best? Of course, LinkedIn comes to mind. So we took 5 people out of the meetings team, and we gave them a full course about LinkedIn, and then we went into detail. And we did the same thing with the PR team, but more with Twitter, with Facebook also. And so we tried to, and we're still working on that actually, but we tried to give them the right tools to do their job and to also make sure that at the end of the year, their objectives as employees were met and we gave them the right tools to meet those objectives. Guide them. We had a social media policy in-house. We took it and we threw it in the garbage and we worked on guidelines. And Rodney is the one that always keeps telling me it's all about giving them the right tools and guiding them and not implementing policies. So we're working on guidelines. It's fascinating in the end because, the employees, I would say about half of the employees prefer the policy over the guidelines. Because all of a sudden, if you give them guidelines, you're empowering them, and they're having to make their own decision, but it's a little scary for some people. So for some of them, we had to work more with them to make sure that they would feel comfortable about social media, and that we weren't pushing down their throat the use of social media, but showing them that some social media would actually help them do their job better and achieve their objective better. The other thing, and Kate talked about this also yesterday, is that in every team within the organization, we chose one team leader. So that team leader is part of a group that meets twice a month, that discusses new technologies, problematics, how's the implementation going, and he's actually the ambassador within his team, and he's the key person if someone within his team has a question or needs help with something. But the beauty of this, it was that it wasn't just, it's always about the marketing department, and now it wasn't about the marketing department. It was about every department within the organization that was now part of the marketing department. And for them, right away, they felt like they were part of a bigger organization. So just that was an achievement on its own. Foster passion, and if there's one industry where people are absolutely passionate about their jobs, it's really the travel industry. I've never seen this anywhere else. But in the end, when you fall back into your old shoes, and when you're looking for a new employee, you're going to look at the skill set first. But you're not going to look at the passion of that individual. So we included in a questionnaire when we're interviewing for new employees, questions about how passionate are they about Montreal, how passionate are they about the organization, how passionate are they about their job and social media. And that actually allowed us to fuel out a couple of people that would not be able to grow within an organization that really wants to take that social media plunge. Activate our members, our tourists, and our locals. Educate, again. I mean, we've implemented guidebooks for every sectors, for the different sectors of our members. We have monthly meetings with those sectors where we teach them how to use Facebook. We're open to any questions they might have. We've really opened the channels of communication, and even in all of our newsletters, on our member social media pages, we try and always highlight what a good job a member has done with social media. So that allows them to look amongst themselves and benchmark themselves and maybe want to go beyond that. And then, of course, give them the right tools to do that. In terms of the tourists and the locals, I'm going to show you a little video, and it's funny because when we found this video, we found it in winter. I figured I'd select the one that looked where it's the coldest, just to make sure you knew that sometimes in Montreal it is cold, but it is also beautiful, and there's tons of snow. But this video is actually done by a small production, really small, two guys production agency in Montreal, that we knew nothing about. It went totally viral, and this is the kind of content we want at Tourism Montreal, and this is where what we're trying to tell our locals is, whenever you have content like this, please give it to us. Our job is not so much to create that content anymore, it's really to amplify what everyone else is doing. So I'll show you the video. It's a great city to visit in the winter. So this video was actually for us the starter of, okay, we really have to start better curating content. People are doing better content than we are in Tourism Montreal, so let's start working on making sure that we find that content, that we repurpose it, and we amplify it. So that was actually the kickstart to our 2013 campaign. 2013 campaign, and every time anyone talks about the path to purchase, I was cringe a little because I don't believe anymore in the path to purchase. I believe that there are things as a tourist that you search for, but there's no path anymore. I mean, the path is influenced by your searches, and sometimes you're looking to go to Toronto, and because you find Montreal, you'll decide to come to Montreal. So all of our strategies now are trying to address every moment of that path to purchase, but not literally. We're making sure that throughout everything that we're trying to do with our campaigns, we inspire with video content, whether it's branded content, whether it's user-generated content, or even whether it's through strategies where we invite ambassadors to bring new ideas to Montreal and to recreate them in Montreal, and I'll show you a video after that expresses exactly that. We activate through that content, through, of course, all of our digital strategies, whether it's SEM, SEO, and so on, and we amplify. And the amplifying part is definitely where we're focusing a lot more this year. Our strategy this year is around what's your moment in Montreal, and how can we make sure that you tell us about that moment in Montreal. So we've implemented throughout the city, we move them around, these photo op opportunities. So if there's a festival going on in Montreal, or if there's an event, there are 10 different photo op opportunities that are implemented throughout Montreal where you take your photo and you hashtag Montreal moments. And of course, that has allowed us to start following what our tourists are doing more and what they're saying about the city also, but also they start engaging with our brand because they are embracing the fact that it's a Montreal moment. And that for us, just that gadget, I'll call it a gadget, has allowed us to start talking to our tourists locally, because sometimes as Montrealers, we'll walk by and we'll see tourists taking a photo of themselves and we start talking with them. And just that helps make sure that they're having a better experience within the city. And we've seen so many quotes about, just took a photo in a Montreal moment, they are enjoying it. I'll show you 3 videos. The first 2 are branded content videos. They're really to inspire you to come to Montreal. Very quick videos, very niche videos. The first one is what's the first one again? There's one about families, and the other one is about the festivals. And the third one is we launched this big contest where we invited ambassadors to tell us about their Montreal moment and how they would like to showcase their Montreal moment. This guy, we flew in to Montreal, and he wrote a song about Montreal, and we produced the song. It's now on iTunes, and all the money that's made out of it is given to an organization. So he's hilarious. And the third one is our ambassador.
I met a man in Montreal. He was young and French and tall. Kissed me once and kissed me twice. Think this place is paradise. His body was so tight, smelling good, looked right. With that accent, he's a 10. Found my French Canadian. Take me over the borderline, where the night is so alive. Staring deep into his eyes. Oh, it feels so right. Oh, Canada, now I know what I've been missing. Oh, Canada, with your French kissing. Now let me get a French kiss. Just a touch on my lips. Let me get a French kiss. Your hands up on my head. Let me get a French kiss. Just take another trip to get another French kiss. Oh, baby, let me get a French kiss. Oh, I put him on my plate and beat him up like some poutine. Show me all the crazy clubs the village party scene. He said, "This your rendezvous." I said, "Yes, sir, I sure do." He said, "Je m'appelle Francois." I said, "Je trouve chez moi." Take me over the borderline, where the night is so alive. Staring deep into his eyes. Oh, it feels so right. Oh, Canada, now I know what I've been missing. Oh, Canada, with your French kissing. Now let me get a French kiss. Just a touch on my lips. Let me get a French kiss. Your hands up on my head. Let me get a French kiss. Just take another trip to get another French kiss. Oh, baby, let me get a French kiss. You want St. Catherine and never wanted it to end. I felt like singing like Celine Dion. And no one even stopped and stared when I grabbed your juicy derriere. And baby, now I never wanna go home. Oh, Canada, now I know what I've been missing. Oh, Canada, with your French kissing. Now let me get a French kiss. Just a touch on my lips. Let me get a French kiss. Your hands up on my head. Let me get a French kiss. Just take another trip to get another French kiss. Oh, baby, let me get a French kiss. That's right, baby, I'm talking to you. Don't go but a French kiss like a French Canadian man. I think they invented that stuff. Oh, snap. Well, harp on for now, baby. You know, I'll be back.
You want people like that. I mean, we want passionate cool people like that. He was amazing. So in conclusion, be agile. And that's my biggest challenge right now. And I'm fighting with it every day because it's so hard within our organizations that are so process heavy. And working with agencies, working with 3, 4, 5 different agencies that are also process heavy. How, as organizations, do we become more agile, more opportunistic, and also just become much more of a true amplifier than we are right now? Secondly, let go. Learn to do that with our blog in 2009, where the content was not necessarily the content that we would have put out. And letting go and letting people tell their own story was a challenge. Now it's letting the whole organization go. They're all marketers. Montrealers are all marketers. So being able to just say, hey, just go with it, run with it. If you fall flat on your bum, we'll pick you up, we'll help you, and we'll just help you get through it. But letting go is a challenge for an organization like ours, and I'm sure for every organization. And keep fighting for it. I mean, there's not one day where we don't get asked by our board members, well, what's the return on investment? I don't even want to talk about return on investment anymore because it's much more about the overall digital brand and its imprint, and that is making a huge difference in terms of what kind of budgets do we have and how are we building that awareness right now. And every day we have those conversations, but we keep fighting for it because we really, really believe in it. Thank you.